Queen Charge Hybrid is one of the best strategies regardless of your town hall level, but without these tips, you will fail to 3-star no matter how many hours you put in. So I'll be breaking down everything from the hero equipment recommendations to the steps in detail to help you both master this attack strategy and 3-star any base you come across regardless of your town hall level. But first, we need to find the best build for each hero to give them a strong foundation to start with. Let's start with the Barbarian King's equipment first, and you have plenty of sets that you can run depending on what you have access to. One of which being the Gauntlet plus Rage Vial, as it's his best in slot for almost any situation. With very little downsides, you can create a nice funnel whether you are charging into a compartment or not. The Gauntlet and Vamp Stash is another possible choice, though there isn't that much different from the Rage Vial outside of the Vamp Stash struggling a little bit more against high DPS. The Vamp Stash plus Rage Vial though is the best choice if you still don't have enough gems for the Gauntlet. This is a great combo that pairs both abilities very well, where you can very easily take full advantage of their capabilities. Next is the Archer Queen, and she has 2 sets that you can run depending on how good you are at Queen Charge. The Frozen Arrow and Invisibility Vial is currently her best in slot and is especially good for more seasoned players who really like to use Queen Charges, as the slow is really nice and makes Queen Charges easier. However, you can also still run the Archer Puppets and Invisibility Vial, not only if you're a beginner, but if you still want the comfort of the healing, the nice damage, and of course the survivability with the Invisibility Vial. Next is the Grand Warden, and unlike other heroes, he already has the best set for this army, and it doesn't even require any of his new equipment. This being the Eternal Tome with the Life Gem. Not only is this super easy to invest into, but is also his best in slot for hybrid due to the Eternal Tome being a great tool all the way around, but also for the Life Gem, as it gives both the Miner and Hog Riders much more HP so they can survive a lot more damage. Now, of course, for the Royal Champion, if you do have access to it for Town Hall 13s and above, you mainly want to choose different sets depending on what you have access to. For instance, you will be sticking to her defaults if you're at Town Hall 13, since she gains no new hero equipment. However, you have the possibility of running Hog Puppets with the Seeking Shield, and can be good at Town Hall 14 especially, and maybe Town Hall 15 as well. But the main one that you'll want to use at Town Hall 15 and Town Hall 16 is the Hog Puppets with the Haste Vial, as it basically just gives you solid speed, the survivability of the Hog Puppets, and of course additional Hog Riders. Of course, we cannot forget about hero pets, as you gain access to this at Town Hall 14 and above. Usually the best pets for your heroes are going to be something like this. With the King, I would recommend running the Phoenix or the Yak, as they both provide great value for the King. The Queen, I would recommend just sticking to the Unicorn, as it's very solid, and really there's no other pet that really works for her in a Queen Charge. For the Warden, the Poison Lizard or Diggy or the Owl are great selections. And for the Royal Champion, either the Fox, Diggy, or Lassie are great choices for you to use with her. Now, you also have plenty of siege machines that can make your hybrid very good on a lot of bases. One of which being the Siege Barrack, as it's by far the best for hybrid in most situations. Its funneling ability is top notch, and you really can't go wrong with it. Just make sure that you're placing it out of range of defenses, and it's going to be smooth sailing, as it spawns a ton of troops, including 1 to 2 P.E.K.K.A.s, and will allow you to follow this up with your CC troops. Another very flexible siege machine is the Flame Flinger, as this is mainly designed to funnel the interior part of the base. This is typically great on wide bases where you can clear one compartment with the Flame Flinger, the other with the Queen Charge, and this leaves one compartment for your hybrid to work right through and take down buildings. The Bow Drill can also be a solid siege machine if you don't need any additional funneling from something like the Siege Barrack or the Flame Flinger. This is really good though because of its stun mechanic. The main thing though is that your king is going to be the only source of your funneling, but typically this is going to work best against narrow bases where other siege options to funnel is completely non-existent and unneeded. So how do you know when a base is good for the Queen Charge hybrid? Well, it comes down to your Queen Charge portion and the pathing that you can get. With said Queen Charge, focus on removing the enemy's CC troops as they are a major threat, while also taking down key defenses. Things like the Eagle Artillery, the Scatter Shots, Monolith, Inferno Tower, or even the Town Hall are all great things. But you should also be creating good pathing, and this pathing can be similar to making a wedge in a base, which can form either an L, C, or a straight line type of shape. So with that said, here are the default army comps that I would recommend running in most situations. Now this is going to widely vary for different town hall levels, so these will give each town hall level a good place to start in running the Queen Charge hybrid. Now we can start with the steps in order to help you master the Queen Charge hybrid. Pretty much your first step is the Queen Charge itself. Regardless of your town hall level, you need to start the Queen Charge by funneling your queen into a given compartment. Typically, you want to use troops like Super Barbarians or Baby Dragons to funnel any building, while also having the option to run Sneaky Goblins for resource buildings. The funnel is really important though to set up before you even start your Queen Charge, so you can really get your queen to go in the right direction. Once the funnel is set though, use your queen with 5 healers, because you will need that, alongside a balloon to look for any seeking air mines, so you can keep your healers alive, as it's very important to do so. From here, you want to make sure that you are getting your queen into the base, so using things like wall breakers or super wall breakers are great ways to get your queen in and start moving through. As you move deeper into the base, you should be running in the use of more balloons in order to help your queen get deeper and deeper into the base, while also protecting your healers from seeking air mines. Focus on using your rage spells in these situations though, to not only help keep your queen alive, but specifically to deal with the enemy CC, especially if it is a high damage one, but also dealing with something like an enemy hero or high amounts of damage. Things like the Monolith or even the Town Hall are good things to use your rage spells on to keep your queen alive. Just make sure that you are keeping the healers underneath rage and you are good to go to gain the most value out of it. Now the other spells that you can use in a Queen Charge is specifically things like a free spell, which is very universal, and you can use it against defenses that do a ton of damage. Things like the Monolith, Single Inferno, or even the multi-archer towers are great things to freeze up. Invisibility spells can be used to help your queen, especially if she's being targeted by more than just one thing, including the healers. So this can be things like the multi-target Infernos, the Town Hall, or even the multi-archer towers if your healers and queen are within range. Of course, you can also use an invisibility to control the pathing of your queen in case she goes in the wrong direction. Of course, you also have access to the overgrowth, as this both can focus mostly on getting your queen into the proper area, but also allows you to get into position for when you remove that said defense, especially if it's something like the Town Hall, you can then allow your queen to remove the buildings that were covered by the overgrowth. Now with one side of your funnel pretty much set, you want to cut off the other side of the funnel. So typically you're going to use the Siege Barrack and the Barbarian King. It's quite simple. All you have to do is place them down and that's about it. However, if you're not running the Siege Barrack and instead you're running the Flame Flinger or the Battle Drill, the King is going to do a majority of the funneling. So if you have any leftover funneling troops, you might want to use them to control where he's going to walk and what buildings he's going to funnel. Now with the funnel set, your hybrid is in full swing. You want to start off by using an early heal to keep everything moving in, and of course keeping their HP high. This should be followed with using the Warden's Eternal Tome in the core to keep everything moving, and of course keeping everything protected, which you can then also hold any of your last few heal spells if you brought more than 2 through the back end of the base, which in that case it'll keep everything topped off and keep your hybrid moving through those heavy key defenses like Inferno Towers or the Scatter Shots, as they're going to do a lot of damage to your hybrid still. Other than that, in other instances you might have your healers swap from your queen to your hybrid, which can definitely help, but is usually just a byproduct of hitting close to your queen charge. Outside of that though, freeze is really good to use with the hybrid against splash damage defenses, and you could also use any leftover rage spells with the hybrid, since the army works really well with any leftover rage spells. Other than this, after all is said and done, your hybrid can easily clean up the base for a strong 3-star nearly every time. Now with this knowledge, you can go out and practice this super strong strategy regardless of your town hall level. Of course, if you are more of an air attack person, check out this big Queen Charge Lalo guide for you Town Hall 13 players.